the House Oversight Committee, also candidate for governor in the state of Florida. I think you would agree with me. Every time I see Tim Walz on television, I think how lucky America is that he is not vice president. Someone so out of his depth and unserious of a person. But if we stipulate that, Congressman, how do Republicans regain the high ground in this narrative? How do you get Minnesota fraud back in the news?
Well, Leland, it's not really about trying to get back the high ground. This is a hearing that's been scheduled for more than a month. We knew that the Attorney General and the Governor were going to come in here to testify about what happened in Minnesota. I think it's about making sure that we establish the clear timelines of what occurred. And what came out in today's hearing is that Governor Walz was notified about this. His office was notified about this as far back as 2019, 2020, and they did nothing. Nothing at all for almost 5 years until you had the Shirley video come out where they were going to these quote unquote learning or leering centers, and there were no kids there. So it's not so much about trying to get it back into the narrative. It's about exposing the fact that there is real issues that have occurred where there wasn't any controls on money in Minnesota, and that Governor Walz and the Attorney General Keith Ellison not only ignored it, they knew about it and did nothing to stop it.
I think you'd agree with me, though, that it would have been a lot better for Republicans to have spent the month of January talking about that rather than ICE.
I mean, look, if you want to talk about ICE, let's also talk about the fact that what you also had in the state of Minnesota, by many reports, is that you had elected officials in that state who were working with these organized protests to essentially get in the way of federal law enforcement. And I would say that's the real big story, because now you have officials in Minnesota working with paid agitators to interrupt a federal law enforcement action, which is the duty of the federal government, while at the same time you have the state officials, same officials, who know there is widespread rampant fraud going on and won't lift a finger to clean it up and stop it. So again, this demonstrates actually the lack of ability of Democrat leadership in Minnesota to actually govern that state effectively, so you have a cohesive state where the law is followed and taxpayer money is protected.
Yeah, I get that, Congressman, and you're not going to get any argument from me, but we all know the media isn't fair. We all know the news cycle isn't fair, and the deck is stacked against Republicans. That's stipulated. But you guys had a golden egg, which was everyone talking about Somali fraud on January 5th, and the narrative got lost because of what a Republican decision, which was surging ICE. And I'm just wondering if you don't, in retrospect, say, hey, we could have been a lot more strategic about that.
Well, look, I think the fact that the president sent Tom Homan in demonstrates that fact about the way to deal with criminal illegal aliens in the state of Minnesota. But let's be very clear, that doesn't eliminate the fact that Tim Walz was derelict in his duty. Keith Ellison looked the other way, and they let upwards of $9 billion of federal taxpayer money be stolen right out the door. And it's not just to jets and houses. Some of this money was sent in remittances back to Somalia, and we already know the Hanwal network in Somalia, in part, is utilized by al-Shabaab, which is an al-Qaeda affiliate. Right. So I get the point you're making. I get it. News cycles have never been fair to Republicans. That's just the way it is. But the facts do not change, and I think going forward this year, it's going to be about the Republicans, myself included, making the facts very clear that what the Democrats really want to see is obstruction of Donald Trump, impeachments of Donald Trump, but no real policy that's going to improve the lives or the affordability for the American people.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.